Hello, my dear students. Hope you must be doing well and must be safe at home with the family. We have already started with this lesson and we have already completed 5.1. Today we are going to start with 5.2. What is a cell made up of? A eukaryotic cell has three main components and they are plasma membrane, nucleus and cytoplasm. Today we will discuss only about plasma membrane. Every cell is enclosed on all sides by a distinct covering called plasma membrane or cell membrane. It is a living, ultra thin structure made up of lipids and proteins, and even some quantity of carbohydrates are also present, but mainly it is made up of lipids and proteins. Here you can compare this plasma membrane as a kind of gate, okay, the way we have at our home. It keeps the cell contents separated from the external environment. It also allows or permits entry and exit of only selected materials, and so it is also called a selectively permeable membrane. This question can be asked, that why is plasma membrane called a semi-permeable membrane, or which part of the cell is also known as semi-permeable membrane or selectively permeable membrane, right? So you have to remember this. It also protects the cell from injury. So these underlying points, they are the function of plasma membrane. Fine. Now how does the transport of materials take place across this membrane? This is not given in your textbook, but this is only for your reference. Okay. There are three ways and they are passive transport, active transport and bulk transport. Fine. In passive transport, it is of two types, that is diffusion and osmosis. Again, osmosis are having two types, that is endosmosis and exosmosis. These terms are given in your textbook, but like this passive, active and bulk transport, these words are not used in the textbook. So this is only for your reference, I am telling you again. Okay. Now what do you mean by active transport? It is a rapid and requires energy in the form of ATP, glucose, amino acids and the ions like sodium and potassium pass through this membrane through this transport only. Okay. एक्टिव ट्रांसपोर्ट के बारे में कुछ भी नहीं दिया है टेक्स्ट बुक में, बट दिस इज ओनली फॉर योर रेफरेंस. Okay. In case of bulk transport, again it is of two types, endocytosis and exocytosis. Endocytosis is again of two types, that is pinocytosis and phagocytosis. Okay. So try to remember these words because these words are frequently used in the lesson. Okay. Now movement of carbon dioxide, oxygen and water. We know that carbon dioxide is a kind of waste product, and oxygen and hydrogen, that is water, they are the important component which are used by a living cell. Okay. Carbon dioxide moves in and out of the cells by the process of diffusion, which involves the movement of molecules from a region of higher concentration to a region of lower concentration across the cell membrane. Diffusion word you have already used many a times in the previous standards also. So this word you have to remember every time when you deal with biology, because through the process of diffusion only the materials will be transported. Okay. So wherever the higher concentration is there, from there it will move towards the lower concentration. Okay. Oxygen enters the cell by the process of diffusion when the level of oxygen inside the cell decreases, because oxygen is a kind of respiratory gas which is frequently used in the process of respiration. So it is used inside, so obviously its quantity will be decreasing inside the cell. So that time when the quantity is higher outside the cell, so from outside to inside the diffusion of oxygen will take place. Okay. So this way diffusion plays a major role in gaseous exchange between the cells as well as the cell and its external environment. Now we'll discuss about water. It moves in and out of the cells by osmosis, which involves the movement of water through a semi-permeable membrane, that is plasma membrane, right? From a solution of lower concentration of solutes to higher concentration of solutes. to which the membrane is relatively impermeable, right? Now two terms here they have discussed, that is diffusion and osmosis. So these two terms, or I can say these two processes or phenomenon, are involved in the movement of carbon dioxide, water and oxygen in a cell and out of the cell. Okay, you have to remember this. I have given you the difference between diffusion and osmosis. Please go through it and please note it down for 3 times in your notebook. Even the previous slide, that is about the transportation of oxygen, water and carbon dioxide, you have to learn it and write it for 3 times in tuition book. Okay, now here are the important terms, that is the types which we discussed in that flow chart of transport system. That is endosmosis. It is the entry. Endo means inside, right? So it is the entry of water molecules into the cell through semi-permeable membrane when surrounded by hypotonic solution. About hypotonic, isotonic and hypertonic solution we will discuss a little bit later. Okay, hypotonic, I'll brief you. Hypotonic means the concentration of solute material is higher inside the cell. Okay, exosmosis means exit. Exo means exit. Endo means inside. Okay, so what is exosmosis? It is the exit of water molecules from the cell through semi-permeable membrane when surrounded by hypertonic solution. Hypertonic means the solute concentration is higher outside the cell. Okay, endocytosis. Endo means again inside. So it is the engulfment, means directly engulfing the food, okay, and other substances from external medium through plasma membrane. Only animal cells shows endocytosis where plasma membrane is in direct contact with external medium. Why is it so? Because animal cells do not have cell wall. Okay, so here the outermost layer is of plasma membrane only. So this endocytosis occurs only in the animal cells. Okay, it is not shown by plant cells due to the presence of cell wall and internal turgor pressure. Okay, exocytosis means the process which involves fusion of membrane of the exocytotic vesicle with the plasma membrane to extrude its contents to the surrounding medium, means removal of something. Are you getting my point? So please learn all these definitions, write it for 3 times in your tuition book. Okay, now we will discuss about the types of solutions. We know that there are 3 types of solutions that occur in your body based on solute concentration. You know this word, solute, solvent and solution, right? Solute means the content which is present in less quantity in a solution. Okay, so they are isotonic, hypotonic and hypertonic solution. Isotonic solution is the one in which the concentration of solutes is the same both inside and outside of the cell. Here the cell will be the same size. For explanation of this, I would like to the simple example that if I have just take it, try to understand what I want to say, that if I add or dissolve 2 spoonful of sugar in water, okay, and the other side also, again the same type of solution I am preparing with 2 spoonful of sugar, means in both the solution, in both the sugar solution we are having the same quantity of sugar, right? And when we pour both the solution in a type of membrane, or if we try to set up something, right, so that time the transportation of the solute material will not take place. Why? Because both the solutions are having the same quantity of solute. So this type of solution is known as isotonic solution. Okay, hypotonic means in which the concentration of solute is greater inside the cell. When you speak O, how your face looks like? O means something is inside, right? So here in case of hypotonic solution, the solute concentration is more inside the cell. So here the cell will gain water by osmosis and the cell will swell up. Okay, and in case of hypertonic solution, when we get hyper, when you are angry, you remove your anger outside, right? When you are angry, you remove your frustration outside. So in case of hypertonic solution, the quantity of solute is greater outside the cell than it is present in inside, right? So here the cell will lose water by osmosis and the cell will shrink. Okay, hope you will remember these type of solution, and the definition of all the three solution, they are extremely important, so you have to note it down for 3 times and learn it. Fine. Now activity 5.3 is given in your textbook. Please open your NCERT textbook and go through it, read it once. What they say, they ask us to peel off the outer shell of an egg using dilute hydrochloric acid. You have to remove that white shell of egg. Of course, after boiling it, you have to use a boiled egg. You don't have to perform this activity. You just have to go through it. What happens, and after that you have to dip, or you have to put that deshelled egg in pure water as well as in saline water. Pure water means it does not have anything except hydrogen and oxygen, whereas in case of saline water, salt concentration is more. Okay, so what happens? Peeled egg, that is deshelled egg in water, swells up and become bigger, while in saline water it shrinks in size. Now how come it is possible that the quantity of water inside the deshelled egg is less and outside it is more? Are you getting? So that time the water molecules will travel inside, and that will be resulting into the swelling of that deshelled egg, and the size will be bigger, right? Whereas in case of saline water, the concentration of salt is more outside as compared to that inside. Are you getting? So let us see what is the explanation. The eggshell is made up of calcium carbonate. It reacts with dilute hydrochloric acid and form soluble compound, that is calcium chloride, which washes away. A cell membrane lies beneath the shell. A cell membrane is permeable to a few things, whereas it is impermeable to others. That is why it is selectively permeable membrane, right? When we put peeled egg, that is deshelled egg, into the water, it absorbs water and swells. Okay? And saline water has more osmotic pressure due to the presence of salt, right? As a result, water from inside the shell, that is the egg, deshelled egg, rushes outwards, and we see shrinkage in the size of the egg. Okay, so when we put that deshelled egg in pure water, the size will be bigger because the egg will swell, whereas in case of when we put this deshelled egg in saline water, whatever quantity of water is present inside the egg, it will travel outside. That will lead to the shrinking of deshelled egg. Okay. Last activity of this topic is 5.4, where it is the same like what we have discussed in 5.3, but here this activity asks us to do the same but with different materials like raisins and dried apricots. Okay, the observations will be the same like what we have seen in 5.3, that raisins and dried apricot absorb water and swell in size, whereas when kept in concentrated solution, it loses water and shrinks. Okay. Please go through the figures. Activity 5.3. You can see the change in the size of the deshelled egg. And in case of activity 5.4 also, in place of dried apricots, grapes are shown here. You can see what is happening. Okay. So let us end our session with a positive thought, that is, amazing things happen when you try for something. What you desire to come true, you can't sit and wait for it to happen. You have to work for that. Okay, so that's all for today, and I wish all of you a very happy International Yoga Day. Stay safe. Have a nice day.